Started. So hello everyone and good afternoon, good evening. We're thrilled to have you with us tonight. As I said before, my name is Daniel Barkowitz and I am the Assistant Vice President for Student Financial Assistance and Employment at the University of Miami. I am thrilled tonight to be presenting with you and for you about this exciting opportunity that literally is going to be the first in the nation. You all will be the first in the nation to get access to this year's FAFSA. And this couldn't happen without the partnership of a number of different colleges and universities, and most importantly, Bridge to Life and the Broward Education Foundation and the Broward County Public Schools. We are thrilled to be partnering together to gain access to the new FAFSA for you, again, in advance of anyone else in the country, in partnership with University of Miami, Florida Atlantic University, and Broward College. Now, please know we are recording tonight's webinar, so we will get you a copy of the recording or a link to a copy of the recording so that if you happen to miss anything tonight or you have to step away, don't worry, we'll get you a copy of the information. But it is critical that you take action today, tonight, tomorrow, and I'm going to walk you through why that's important and how we're going to get you access to this brand new FAFSA for 25-26. So to begin with, let's just do a really quick reminder. What is the FAFSA? So FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It is the federal government's application to apply for federal financial aid. And it's required of anyone who is going to be attending college for the coming year in terms of accessing their federal financial aid. It is the tool as well to apply for most state financial aid, as well as institutional financial aid, money from the college or university you might be attending. Now, typically, FAFSA would open on October 1st. That would be the normal start date for a normal year for FAFSA. You may know that last year there were major changes made to the FAFSA, and the FAFSA had a number of problems and delays that have impacted last year's high school seniors. Now, the good news is that we think we have our handle on those issues and those problems, and the Department of Education, in partnership with us and a number of other agencies around the country, is doing a planned rollout of this new FAFSA so that they can test the FAFSA and make sure that it's working properly and make sure that all of the bugs are ironed out. So you all have access to the live version of the FAFSA earlier than anyone else. You'll also have staff from the Department of Education who will actually be joining us in person on October 1st to make sure that they monitor and make sure that you get the support you need to get your FAFSA submitted. So starting typically October 1st, but this year, if you aren't part of this group, you won't get access to the FAFSA until at the earliest December 1st. So you're getting a 2-month head start in terms of getting your FAFSA completed by joining us tonight and by joining us on October 1st. So why does the FAFSA matter? Why is the FAFSA important? What we do know is that seniors in high school who complete a FAFSA are 84% more likely to immediately enroll in college than those who wait. So that those who don't file. So again, the idea is by getting your FAFSA filed, you're more likely to head right into college, which we want to make sure you do if you're a senior in high school. Now, I have some relatively old data, but I also thought this was important to share with you. This comes from 21-22, school year 21-22. We're still collecting some of the information from the last several school years, but you can see that a lot of money was given out to undergraduates for financial aid in 21-22. And a large part of that was in the form of institutional grants, money that does not have to be repaid. There is some loans in there. Loans are a smaller portion. If you add up the loan portion, it's about 33%. But the vast majority of funds that are out there and available in the form of grants rather to students. And so by filling out the FAFSA, you get access to that funding. Just a fair warning, there may be other applications that you need to complete as well, such as the CSS profile. Some colleges, University of Miami is one, require not just the FAFSA, but also the CSS profile as well. So just because you've done the FAFSA or will have on October 1st, doesn't mean you will have done everything. So just to make sure to check with the college to see what other financial aid application might be required. So why should you do the FAFSA now? Why should you be part of this group? What are the benefits to you? As I said, first of all, it's an opportunity to access the application first. This is the first in the country. There are only 5 groups around the country that were selected to be part of this early application cycle. We are one of those groups. It's also an opportunity for the Department of Ed, for federal student aid, to test the system before deploying it nationwide to millions of students. So again, you're at the front of the line. When you do apply, you'll be able to list all of the potential colleges you're interested in applying in. So you'll go ahead and get that application done early. You can list all the colleges and universities that you're thinking of applying to. And that means you won't have to complete the application again later. You can get it all done right up front and early. And finally, earlier completion of the FAFSA means that the colleges and universities you're applying to will be able to offer you your financial aid earlier in the cycle because your information will be ready. Now, I see some of you have already done some of the early steps to create your FSAID, but I'm going to ask you to stay with us anyway, because you're going to hear about some rules and requirements to get access. So this is, again, designed really just for folks in Broward County to get access to this early FAFSA application. But we need to figure out who completes the FAFSA. So we're going to cover 3 sections. And I'd ask if you would to hold your questions. We will have a long time at the end to answer questions as you raise them. So hold on to your questions. I'm sure a lot of the questions you're asking I will answer as we go through. But I want to highlight for you a couple of things. So who is required to complete the FAFSA? There are 3 things we need to answer. Number 1, are you dependent or are you independent? Number 2, what is a contributor? And number 3, who's your parent? So let us talk through all of those issues. So number 1, are you dependent or independent? So the reason this is important is because if you're considered an independent student, then you do not have to have your parents' information when you file the FAFSA application. But if we look at the schedule, or if we look at the list here, and you answer no to all of these questions, then you're considered a dependent student. So let's talk them through. Number 1, will you be 24 years of age or older by December 31st of the school year for which you're applying for financial aid? If you will be, you'll be 24 or older, you're automatically independent. Most of you are not going to be 24 years of age or older. Are you going to be working right now toward a master's or doctorate degree? Probably not. Are you married or separated, you the student, but not divorced? Probably not. Do you have children who receive half or more than half of their support from you? Do you have other dependents that live with you? Are you an orphan or a ward of the court or in foster care? Are you an emancipated minor or in legal guardianship? Do you have a legal guardian? Are you an unaccompanied youth who's homeless, or are you self-supporting and at risk of being homeless? Do you currently serve on active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces, or are you a veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces? If any of those answers are yes, then you're considered independent. But most students, I'm sure most students on the call, are going to be considered dependent students, which means we need your parental information. If you do have special circumstances, so I know there are some families or some situations where a student might have living parents, but they're not in contact with them. Maybe a parent's incarcerated, or maybe a parent's in another state and there's no contact between the student and the parent. You can still use the FAFSA. And during the process, when we go through this on October 1st, I'll highlight for you how you go through the application if that is your condition and your circumstance. We've got you covered as well. But again, just to make sure you're aware, the first question is, are you dependent or independent? The reason this is important is because you need to have an FSAID or login, and your contributor does as well. So everyone who's going to contribute information on the FAFSA has to have an FSAID and password. So let's talk through what is a contributor. So this is a new term that FAFSA has introduced in the last year. A contributor is someone who provides information on the FAFSA. It's not necessarily someone who pays money, but it's someone who provides information on the FAFSA. That is a contributor. Because of that, the student is always going to be a contributor. Students always going to provide information on themselves. If the student is married, then the student's spouse might be a contributor based on the student's tax filing status. But where this becomes important is for dependent students, your parent or parents is going to be a contributor. So let's talk about that and how you determine which parent or parents are going to be a contributor. So to answer this, we have to answer 3 questions. This is called the parent wizard. It's really important we go through these 3 questions, and I'm going to go and answer these for you to make sure you understand how this plays out. So the first question is, are your biological or adoptive parents married to each other? If they are, we'll talk about what do you do then. Number 2, if not, do your biological or adoptive parents live together? And if not that, did one parent provide more financial support than the other over the past 12 months? So let's take a look at these in detail, and we'll go through each one. So let's say your parents are married to each other. Your biological parents are married to each other. In that case, what's important to know is how do they file their tax return? And specifically, how did they file their tax return in 2023? So the year that's important because you're entering into college in the 25-26 year is the 2023 tax year. If in 2023 your married parents filed together jointly, they filed a joint tax return, then only one of them needs to be a contributor. That will be important because only one of them will need an FSAID. But if both parents filed either married, filed separately, or as head of household, or maybe they didn't file taxes at all, or one files and one didn't, any other situation, both parents would be considered contributors, and you're going to need login information for both parents. So really important, again, that you understand as you look through this, if your parents are married to each other, chances are, if they file together on their taxes, only one of them needs to have a login for the FAFSA. But if they file separately or don't file at all, then both will need to have login rights. What about the second question? Let's say your parents aren't married to each other, but they still live together. In that situation, both of them will need to have contributor login information, because if they're not married, they're not filing a tax return together, they both will need to have information to be able to log in. Now we get to the third condition. What if your parents are divorced or separated, or they're unmarried and not living together? What's important in that situation is first, you need to identify which parent, your biological parent, which biological parent provided more financial support over the past 12 months. That parent is the one that's going to be on the FAFSA. It doesn't matter who claims you on your tax return or their tax return. It doesn't matter who you live with. What matters is which of your 2 parents, if they're divorced or separated, provided more financial support over the last 12 months. If neither of them did, if it was equal, or if neither of them provided you any financial support over the last 12 months, then you would choose the parent who has the greater income and assets, and that's the one who would complete the FAFSA. So let me give you an example. So let's say my student's name is Paul, and I am Paul's father, and Rachel is Paul's mother. So Rachel and I were married, but now we're divorced. Paul lives with Rachel, but I pay all of Paul's expenses. I give Rachel money to pay for rent, to pay for childcare, I pay more than half of Paul's expenses. So even though Paul lives with Rachel, I would be the parent on the FAFSA because I'm providing more than half of that financial support. What's also important to know is that if I'm remarried, then Paul's stepmother or stepfather would also be required to contribute to the application, right? So if the step parent is part of the family that contributes more than half, then that step parent also needs to be a contributor for the purposes of the FAFSA application. And we'll get you again a copy of this recording if you need to go back and take a look at this. And if you have any particular questions or specific questions, we can certainly handle those at the end of tonight's presentation. But really important you understand that that is how the process works. Now, we're getting lots of questions about particular circumstances. I will tell you, we will address those in person the night of the seminar itself. So remember, you're going to need to have multiple FSAIDs. So each parent is going to have, or at least one parent is going to have an FSAID, and the student is going to have an FSAID. Your FSAID is a combination of a username and a password. It's what gets you into the application. And this year, it's what will get you access to the early application. So really important that you have those FSAIDs and that you register for them tonight or tomorrow, specifically tonight or tomorrow. Because of the timing, we need to make sure that you get your FSAID for you, the student, and for your spouse if you have one. If not, your parent or parents, depending upon what I talked about before. So really important that you have that done. And I'm going to share with you, how do you get that FSAID and what are the things that you're going to be asked on the application. And then before we're done tonight, I'll share with you how do you register that FSAID, because this is going to be new for all of you. You have to register that FSAID if you want to gain access to the FAFSA application early. So let's talk through this. So first, how do I get my FSAID? You start by visiting studentaid.gov. And so if you visit studentaid.gov, that will, and I'll actually open up a browser and take you there right now. So studentaid.gov is the homepage for the federal government, and it looks much like the image I've presented to you on the page. So here is studentaid.gov. Couple things. First of all, notice on the upper right-hand corner, there's English. También tiene español. Tenemos español. So if you're a Spanish speaker and you prefer to switch into Spanish, Español está ahí para ustedes. So you can switch back and forth between English or Spanish, depending upon your language preference. If you speak another language, you can also use Google Translate to change the page as you need to. The piece you're going to be looking for, most important, is this link that says Create Account. You're going to need to do this once for you, the student, and once for your contributor, for each contributor. Again, remember, you might need to have one contributor, one parent, or you might need to have two based on how they file their taxes. But you want to make sure to click on Create Account. That will take you to a series of pages. I'm going to page through these with you and show you what you need to fill out. And remember, you need to do this at least twice, once for the student and once more for the parent. Really important that each contributor has to have their own cell phone number and or their own email address. You cannot use the same email address for more than one contributor. So if you don't have an email address, you can get one at Google or gmail.com for free, but you'll need to have your own email addresses for each one of these because that is part of how you log in. So when you get started, you'll see that there are 7 steps to creating your FSAID. The very first step is your name, date of birth, and social security number. I'll talk about what do you do if you don't have one in a second, a social security number, but you'll need to put in name and date of birth. And if you are a student, you'll need to have a social security number. Some students may have parents that do not have one, and I'll show you that in a second, what you do with that. Really important you get your date of birth and social security number correct. If you're not sure, do not guess. Please take a look at your social security card, the tax return, whatever you might have. That social security number and date of birth are going to be used to match you against databases that the Department of Education reads, including the Social Security Administration, Department of Homeland Security, and other databases. They have to make sure to match against your information to prove that you are who you say you are. So really important you have the correct social security number, correct date of birth. Also for name, it's very important this be your complete legal name. So for example, if your name is Emmanuel, but you go by Manny, do not type Manny. Needs to be Emmanuel if that is your legal name. If your last name is Garcia de Ramon, please type in Garcia de Ramon. If it's Garcia only, put Garcia. But you need to match whatever is on your legal documentation, your social security card, your birth certificate, whatever. Otherwise, it may fail to match. So very important that you match exactly your name, your date of birth, your social security information. If you're a parent and you're registering to support your student and you don't have a social security number, that's okay, right? What you will click is, I don't have a social security number. So going back, there's this little drop down here. If you click on the drop down, that will come in to open this up and it will say, if you don't have one, and at least one of these statements apply. I'm a parent or spouse of a student who's applying for aid, and you do not have a social number, you can click that box and still create an FSAID. That's a vast improvement over what last year's students went through, but this is available for you if you are not a student. Again, this is for parents or spouses. If you need a FSAID, but you do not have a social security number, that is an option for you as well. You can click that box and go ahead and create one. The next screen will ask you for some account information, a username, your email address. Remember, that has to be different for the student versus one contributor versus a second contributor. If you need a second contributor, you'll have to have an email address and a password. That password needs to have at least one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, a number, and at least 8 characters long. So make sure to write down someplace your username and your password, because it's really important that you have records of those. Once you do that and click continue, the very next screen will take you to your mailing address. And to answer the question that was just asked, yes, student and parent have to have separate accounts. Think about this as your signature. This is how you sign the form. So each one of you needs to do this separately from each other. And if you have another contributor, because your parents file taxes separately, each parent will have to have one. Okay, so the next screen here asks about mailing address. So you're going to add in your mailing address, and you need or should put in your mobile phone. The reason we ask for your mobile phone, or they do, is so that they can text you to confirm your information. And there's an ability to add another phone number here as well. So mailing address, mobile phone is listed. The next page asks you about communication and how you prefer to take your communication, whether by postal mail, by email, by text message, and what language, English or Spanish, you would prefer your communication to be in. So you have choices here about how you want to communicate or how you want the department to communicate with you. I strongly advise you to select at least email or text message, because that way you get the information much faster. You don't have to wait for it to be mailed to you by postal mail. So really, really important that you do that. The next section asks for you to set up 4 challenge questions. When you pull down the question, it will be things like your mother's maiden name, what city you were born in. And this is in case you forget your username and password. Please make sure to go through and answer those questions and set them up at your choosing. The last 2 steps, you see confirm and verify and enable 2-step verification. The last 2 steps, the first one is to confirm all the information you provided. So you'll go through and have a confirmation screen, and then you need to set up a way, either via email or your text or something called an authentication app you can download on your phone to confirm when you log in that it's really you. And this is what's called a two-step process. Some of you have seen this with banks or with credit cards or maybe other systems like your health insurance or your health record, where you log in, you type in your username and password, and then it sends you a text to say, is this really you? Here's a code number you need to enter into the application to make sure that it's really you. That is true for the FAFSA as well. So it will ask you to set up a process for that two-step verification. Very important that you not finish until you go through that process, because that will be the way in which you will log in. Okay, so up to this point, we've talked about what do you do to set up your FSA ID. I just want to review. So we talked about why the FAFSA is so important. We talked about what to do, how to define if you're a dependent student or an independent student. We talked about if you are dependent, which one of your parents need to have a contributor FSA ID, or if both do. We talked about that, and we talked about how to create the FSA ID. Remember, you need to create that FSA ID for each contributor. They have to have a separate FSA ID. What I'm going to talk about now are the next two steps you need to take to get access to our event October 1st. And again, a reminder, this is a special opportunity just for this group of students. This is not something you can share online. This is not something we want you to post in social media. This is something specifically for you. And just to be clear, this is, again, not publicly available. This is only available to this population of students who are part of the Broward County Public School System. So here's how this goes. So you have to, there are two required steps. I'm going to go through both required steps. The very first step is you have, and I'll paste this link into the chat for you. You must log in to this webpage, and I will go there and we'll look at this together right now. But this link allows you to set up your confirmation for this event in terms of getting access to the FAFSA. Now, very important, don't do this until you set up all of your FSA IDs. You have to first set up your FSA IDs before you visit this page. But once you do, you can then sign in to indicate your interest in the beta FAFSA process. So again, once you have completed your FSA ID setup, you'll visit this page. We will also email to those of you who are logged in tonight a link to this page, but this is the survey page. This page has to be completed by the end of the day tomorrow for the federal government to create access just for you to the early FAFSA. So when you get to this page, you'll click next. It will ask you to put the student's first name and email address, and the next page will ask for the parents or contributors' first name and email address, and if there's a second contributor, that person as well. As you'll see on the note, please make sure this is the email associated with your studentaid.gov account. If it is not the same email, you will be disqualified from participating in the beta. You need to make sure that they match, and you cannot do this form until after you do your FSA ID. So again, the order is create your FSA ID for you as a student, for your parent or spouse if you have contributors, make sure everyone has their FSA ID, then come and do this form. Again, the reason for the form is going to turn on access for you to the early FAFSA. And I'm going to ask you this, and I'm going to say this again. Please do not share this link outside of this room with anyone outside of this group, because again, it is not publicly available. This is only available to this group of attendees. So the link is in the chat. I will paste it there again. We will also email it to you separately, but that is the link to the survey. So you'll get an email confirmation that confirms this information. So Cheyenne, if you missed the FSAID piece, we went through that already, but you can take a look at the recording and that will walk you through how to do this. Yes, you have to wait to do the FSA interest form until after you create your FSAID. The FSAID is the first step. That's why we went in order. You have to do the FSAID first before you fill out this form. So that is one piece. As I said, there are two pieces. And then what I'll do is once I finish this second piece, I will go back through and answer this question. I know that I've seen questions about Bright Futures. Let me just address this for a second. Bright Futures does not require the FAFSA. However, if you are receiving Bright Futures, my advice is still to complete the FAFSA anyway, because the FAFSA will get you access to other financial aid that you might be eligible for. So that is why I would suggest absolutely filling out the FAFSA. It's not required for Bright Futures recipients, but it is suggested. Okay, step 2. The new FAFSA for 25-26 will not be open until October 1, right? So you can't, once you get your FSAID, there's nothing you can log into that will allow you to start completing the FAFSA. It's not publicly available and it won't be. It will only be available to you. That night on October 1st, we will share with you the special link for you to access the FAFSA, the live 25-26 FAFSA that's just available for you. So you need to be present that night. If you're not, we will reach out to you after the event is over to share with you how to log in. But really, we advise you to be present that night. We are asking you to go ahead and RSVP separately for this event. So remember, I said you have to complete the interest form. This is the next thing we're asking you to do, which is to log in and register that you will be attending with us that evening. So let me take you here and let's show you how that works. So some of you may have already registered for this. If so, no problem. We're asking if you're coming, please indicate, is it just you or is it you plus a parent? So you can adjust the number as you need to. And this is how you RSVP. If you click reserve a spot, this gets you set up to reserve the opportunity to attend, and you can provide your contact information here. Now, really important, we have 700 spots in the room. If we need to go overflow, we will, but we do want you to register. Here's why. So a couple of reasons. Number one, we will be providing dinner. So we hope that we know how many folks will be attending so we can make sure we have enough dinner for those attending. And after you complete your FAFSA, you can then receive a $20 Amazon gift card, one per family, and we'll explain how that works that evening as well. So with you in attendance, we will be able to get you that $20 Amazon gift card after the night is done. It won't be that night, but it will be sent to you as a thank you and a reward for going through the process. There will be other surprises that are available to those who are in person that night. I won't tell you, I won't spoil the surprise now, but I will tell you there will be other surprises available for you. The event is October 1st from 6 to 8 p.m. at Stranahan High School. The details are on the link, and I will paste the link to the RSVP form in the chat as well. So the link is there in case you would like to go ahead and RSVP now. So let me do that again. Hold on. So there's the link. Please go ahead and make sure to register. We also will have folks on hand who can provide personalized assistance as needed that evening. And as I said, folks from the Department of Education will actually be attending as well, so that if you run into any snags or any bugs, we will be there to help you. The department will be there to help you. So again, just going back through the steps one more time. Step number one, you've got to create an FSAID for you as a student and for any contributor. Step number two, you need to register using the interest form to let the Department of Education know that you're coming. Step number three, you need to go ahead and register for the event using the links that we've provided. So with that, what I'd like to do is take questions. So I know Tron, Stefan, you have been taking a look at what's in the chat. How would you like me to begin to address questions?
Yeah, there's a ton of questions coming in now. I think what I'm going to do is just kind of scroll through and see what some of the most recent ones are.
Okay.
Going to try to avoid any of the questions that have already been asked.
So I do see one about the survey. I just want to be clear. So there's
Go
been
for
some
it.
questions about the survey. So let me again just take us back there and show you. So the survey itself for the FSA, let's go back here. Reload it. So this beta survey, this is one per student. So when you click next, you'll be asked student's first name, student's email address. So I'm just going to put test, because I'm not really going to do it, and test at, don't do this, please, do the real one, at test.com. I'm going to click next, and you'll see on the very next piece what it's going to ask you. It's going to ask you, are you an independent student, yes or no? I'm going to say no. Are you dependent or independent? Remember, we talked about that tonight. We identified what that is. Do you have more than one contributor or two contributors? This is why, as I went through the presentation today, I explained the difference because, again, you'll need to know if your parents file jointly or not. If they file jointly, you have one. If they do not file jointly, if they file their tax returns separately, you will have two. Once you click next, that will then ask you for your contributors' first names and email addresses. And then you can finish up. Remember, what it's trying to get to is to match you to what you registered for using your FSAID so that they can make sure to turn on access for you and your contributors to the upcoming FAFSA. So really important you match it exactly with what you've typed for your FSAIDs, which is also why it's important you do the FSAID as your first step. So I'm going to unmute. I see a couple people who are raising their hands. Keisha, I think you're first. I see you first. So Keisha, I did ask you, let's see if I can unmute you. I asked you to unmute. There you go. Let's see. Can you hear me? While you're figuring that out, I'm going to go to Julian. Julian, let's see if you can unmute. There you are. Hey.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I was asking if you're not able to make it to the Stranahan, is there like an online version to it?
So if you're not able to make it to Stranahan, we will send you instructions. But again, our preference is that you be there in person. Here's why. Because if you run into bugs or errors, we can't help you if you're off-site. Okay. So there is an ability to get completed, but it's better if you can be there that night. Okay. So yeah, I understand people may have conflicts, but just FYI.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Karthik, yeah, you have a question. Go ahead. I think you're unmuted. Let's see, I'm not getting audio. Let's see if I can move on. Kayla. Go ahead. Nope, not hearing any audio there. Sylvia, gonna try you. And if the rest of you can figure out your audio, I'll leave it open so that once you're able to address your audio, you can ask. Sylvia, go ahead.
Yes, hi, good evening. Couple of questions. I was not able to change the numbers of participant. It wouldn't only allow me one person at a time for the reservation. So is it
That's
one
fine. Yeah, you
reservation?
can just,
okay.
Tron, do you want to confirm that? I think they only have to register once. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So it's only going to allow you to put one reservation in, one Eventbrite name in, but that's fine. You'll bring those individuals with you, and we'll check them in on the day of.
Okay,
We'll
so
just
do I
have
make
you-
one for myself and for my
No.
son?
No, just
No.
one for your son.
Just one for my son.
Come
Okay.
on. Colleen is maybe providing a different answer. Go ahead. Colleen?
Registrations for every attendee. If you
We-
register for both you and your
We can't hear.
I'll repeat. I can hear her.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So she is saying Colleen is the woman behind the throne. She's the one who actually has all the power. The rest of us just pretend to. So Colleen is saying that we do need a registration for each person attending, so that we make sure we hold seats and we hold food for you. So Sylvia,
Okay.
thank you. That's a very good question.
Okay.
One we didn't anticipate. So go ahead and register for your son and then register for yourself.
Okay. The other question I had is, so if anything that because I try to do work ahead a little bit. So any errors that we may have done up to this point, once we meet on October 1st, they'll be able to assist us and make corrections accordingly. Is that correct?
And what I will say is that if you've logged in and done a FAFSA at this point, you've not done a FAFSA. You've done the wrong year, because
Okay.
anyone who's logged in at this point has logged into the 24-25 FAFSA. The 25-26 FAFSA, which is as a high school senior for your high school senior next year's, isn't going to go live until December 1st, but for you all, it'll go
It's
live on
October.
that October 1st. That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Last question, and I'm sorry. Do we need to bring any paperwork, any tax returns
Thank
for
you.
that
I'm
night?
so glad you asked me that question, because I skipped
you.
over that. And what I did put in the PowerPoint but didn't highlight is, yes, you should bring with you your 2023 tax return, federal tax return. You probably
Mhm.
aren't going to need it, because the way the FAFSA works, it transfers your information automatically. But just to be safe, I would have it with you, and I would
Okay.
have your most recent bank statement or investment information. Like, how much do you have in your cash accounts? If you have property, what's it worth? Just have it with you, so you can go ahead and fill that information in. Now, again, you likely will not need this information, but just for
Mhm.
backup purposes, good to have it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions. Chauncey, you are up next. Go ahead. I feel like I'm running a radio show. Maybe I should be
Oh.
like Dr. Fraser Crane. Yes, hi.
Hi, I have a question. Currently have a daughter that's in college, and I filled out her FAFSA before she started college, and now I have a second child attending. Do I have to create a new parent?
No,
No.
no. Once you've created an FSA ID for one child, your FSA ID will remain the same, but
Okay.
your new student will need to create one. And I want to just also be clear that I'm so glad you asked this question. For this event on October 1st, it will only be available for your child. Is it your son who's graduating high school this year?
It's my daughter.
Another daughter. Okay. So your daughter who's graduating high school will be able to do her FAFSA that night, but the one who's already in college will need to wait until December 1st to do
Okay.
her FAFSA. Okay. So this is really meant only for high school seniors.
Okay, now I have two more questions. The other question is, the night that we're having this event, my daughter will be with her dad because we share custody.
Mhm.
So I will just be attending by myself if he's
Mhm.
not going to attend or bring her. Is that okay?
So we prefer that she be there. If she can't be there, if you can either have her on like FaceTime or on the
Okay.
phone,
Okay.
that would be best.
Okay.
If an absolute last option would be you do your section and she does hers that night separately. But
Okay.
again, the whole goal here is to make sure we do this together, so that if there are any problems, we can see them right there.
Yeah, because my co-parent, he's very difficult.
Yep.
And I don't have the confidence that he will bring her.
I understand.
So
I understand.
another thing is with the contributors, like last year, we got divorced this year. So last year we filed separate tax returns, and he made more than I did, but I don't believe that he is going to fill out as the contributor being the one that earned more on his income tax.
Well, remember, that's not, as we talked about, that's not the requirement. The requirement is which parent provides more financial support. So over the last 12 months, who provides more financial support? And that's up to you all to determine. The financial aid office is going to trust you on this statement. So based on your judgment, the student's judgment, who provided more financial support over the last 12 months? If that is him, then he needs to do the FAFSA. If that's you, then you need to do the FAFSA.
But I'm sorry to go back and forth on that. So what if the court deemed that both parents are 50-50 responsible for the child in that regard? So what does a parent do?
Then if the reality is that it's absolutely even, right? Absolutely even, then it goes to the parent with a greater income or assets. But I would go back and just try to figure out if it's really absolutely even.
Hello?
Yep.
Okay. So, so what I guess I'll do, I'll just ask him if he'll fill it out because he is the higher earner, and pray that he does it.
Yep.
And then take it from there. But I will
Okay.
be the only one attending, and I'll just join her FaceTime
Okay.
onto the event.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Simon, you're up next. Go ahead.
Hi, yes. So my question is, if both of my parents are alive and they're married, but I don't live nor do I depend on them, do I make my guardian fill this out?
Do you have a legal guardian, or is it
Yes,
just
a legal
someone
guardian, my sister.
Okay, and she has legal guardianship of you.
Yes.
Then you're an independent student.
Okay.
Remember, as we talked about before, when I went through who's dependent versus independent, you'll fall under this one right here. Are you an emancipated minor, or are you in a legal guardianship as determined by a court? Because you're in legal guardianship, you're independent, you do not need parental information. So all you need is your contributor information. That's it.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, Cheyenne. Yep, there
Hi,
you
can
are.
you hear me?
Hi, I can. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have two questions. One, I've been seeing a link in the comments about how to make the FSAID, and is there like a pre-recording video that I could go back to?
There
Or like
is,
how do
but
I get to it?
There is, but I'll walk you through it right now just to make sure that you're there. So 1 second. Let me bring up the web again. So to create your FSAID, you're going to go to studentaid.gov. Studentaid.gov is a website you should memorize. It is where the FAFSA form is. It's where if you borrow loans, you're going to look for your loan information, all of that information, studentaid.gov. To create your FSAID and to create one for your parent, you're going to click on this button that says create account, and that will take you to the account creation process. That's it. And then if you prefer español, si podemos hablar en español,
no, I don't speak Spanish, but
well, I do a little bit, as you can probably tell, but it is there. And just to share with you, if you speak another language like Haitian Creole, I know you don't, but if you use Google Translate, you can always use Google Translate for a particular web page as well. So if you want to translate a web page, just to show you, that is an opportunity as well. And if you click on websites, you can type in the website, just playing for fun, just to show it, because I think it's important for folks who are here. And I can choose whatever language I need to translate it to. And that way I can go to, let's say I need to translate to German. There it is. So again, that's an option. If your language is other than English or Spanish, you have the option to translate to whatever language.
Okay, and my second question was, if I have a step parent, would I put I have two dependents, not dependents, two like providers, or would I just say like my legal guardian is my provider?
So you live with your parent and step parent?
Yes.
Yeah. So it depends on whether they file taxes jointly or separately. If they file taxes jointly, you only need one. If they file taxes separately, then you need two.
So like I'd need to get both of them to sign up for it?
Only if they file taxes separately from each other.
Okay, okay.
So I would ask your parent how, when you file your tax return, do you file together or do you file separately? And from there, you'll know how many you need.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thank you. If I mispronounce names, I apologize. But Kianish, it is your turn. Thank you for being patient.
Hi, sorry, I'm just in a rush. I have to, take my grandma somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's really a quick question. At the beginning of the presentation, you mentioned something for the University of Miami. I wasn't 100% sure what you exactly said, the acronym. Yep. It was some CSF.
So thank you. CSS profile. So the University of Miami, I'm going to show it to you right here. So the University of Miami asks for two different applications. So I said FAFSA is one of them. The other is this thing called the CSS profile or profile. Financial aid profile is also required. And just to share with you, if you're applying to, like, let's say Harvard or MIT or
Yeah, those more
Yale,
prestigious colleges.
yep, colleges that have a lot of their own money to give away, right? Most of them require the CSS profile. This application is live now. So if you're going to do this one, if you're applying to any of these colleges for next year, you can go ahead and start your application with this one. There's no beta, there's no anything like that. But you can see if you go down the list, University of Miami is one of the schools that requires this. In Florida, because I just want to make sure that it's clear, we're not the only one in the state of Florida that requires it. The other two schools are Stetson and Ringling College of Art and Design.
Mhm.
Yep. But thank you for asking that question.
Yeah, and that's like a quick is it kind of similar to how you reapply for this one?
Similar, but it asks some questions the FAFSA does not.
Okay, that's all really I needed to know, because I'm really interested in University of Miami.
Well, come on October 1st and we'll talk about that as well. So hope to see
I
you
will
there.
be there.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Michal, you're next. And by the way, I did want to say I saw a point asked earlier. We recognize that October 2nd is the start of Rosh Hashanah at sundown. For those of you that celebrate, I do. So we are trying to avoid the holiday by having the event on the 1st. We recognize that for some families, you may already be getting ready for the new year, and we apologize for the timing. It was outside of our control, but hopefully we'll be able to see you if you are there. Michal, I am trying to unmute you, but there you go.
So my question was, when I go to the meeting in Stranahan, do I have to go with both of my parents, or is only one parent fine?
As long as they file taxes together, only one parent's needed.
What if they file taxes separately?
Are they married? But
well, yeah, they are
living
married.
together?
They're married. Yeah, they're married. They're married. Yeah.
Yeah. If they do, you won't be able to finish the FAFSA that night because you'll need that other parent to log in. So either if you can try to get that person to connect by phone, or maybe see them after the event and get it done.
Yeah, because the reason I'm asking is my dad is usually at work till around 7. So, and the meeting is at 6, right?
We start at 6. We will be running till 8. So if he can come after, there'll still be folks there and we can help.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see, April. Thank you, Abril. Thank you. I don't know if I'm hopefully I'm saying it right. Thank you for your patience. I'm sorry, and we'll get to folks as soon as we can. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yes,
I can.
Good evening. I am the stepdad of my daughter, Abril. There is always some question about her biological parents, but they never ask about the stepdad, you know?
Well, they will if again, if I go back to this slide, if the parent is remarried and that parent is the parent that's being chosen as the one who provides more than half of the support, then step parent will be included.
Yeah, in our case, my wife, they weren't married. They never get married.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I married my wife. So my stepdaughter, you know, how will we fill out the form in that case? And we fill out our taxes together, my wife and me.
So let me back up and ask. So the other parent, between your wife and the other parent, who provides more financial support for Abril? Is it your wife?
My wife, yes.
Okay. So when you get to this section, you will be parent, or she'll be parent 1, and you'll be parent 2. So you will both fill out the FAFSA with your stepdaughter, because again, if I look at the record, you are your wife is the one who provides more financial support, and because she is remarried to you, it's both of you who will be considered parents for this form and application. Because you file jointly together, only one of you needs to have an FSAID though, and only one of you needs to be there that night. So either you or your wife, you're both welcome to come, but only one of you has to be there to be able to do it.
Oh, okay. So just to finish, there is one. In this case, it means that my wife and me, we are my kids' parents, even if I am not the biological parent.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, correct.
Yep.
Thank
Yep.
you. I
You're
appreciate that.
welcome.
Yeah,
No, thank you.
crystal
And thank
clear.
you. Yeah. Thank you to those of you. I appreciate also the patience of those of you who are waiting. Nelson, I see that you have already unmuted, so please go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, so I had two questions, hopefully quick. The first one, if we are actually filling out the form on the event date, do we need to or can we bring our own device for that?
Yes, please. Thank you. Great question. Please do bring a device. You can complete this on a laptop. You can actually do it on a cell phone as well. This is a question for Tron and Stefan. I believe we will have some learner devices available. Is that true? Does someone
Yeah.
want to confirm that?
Yeah, there will be laptops provided by the school that we're going to be at, Stranahan High School, but we are encouraging attendees to bring their own device as well.
Nelson, I'm so glad you asked that question. See,
Okay, great.
the attendees are always much smarter than the presenter. So thank you for bringing that up.
And
No problem.
And Daniel, we're getting a number of requests for the survey since we're getting closer to 7 p.m. Just wonder if we can get that link in there one more time.
Of course, happy to type it in the chat. Yeah.
But
go ahead.
If I could just ask my second question, it was
Of course.
regarding the 3 steps. So I just want to make sure that I have that clear. The first step was creating the FSA account. Second step was to register it, and the third step was the interest application.
That's exactly right. So again,
Perfect.
I'm gonna put these in the to your point, I'm gonna put these in the chat right now. There is the survey for federal student aid. I just typed that in the chat. That's the link to that federal student aid survey. And that's the second step. And the third step is to go ahead and register for our event and to make sure you register once for every person attending. And that is the link to that event. So please make sure to do both of those. So yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it, Nelson. Gene, go ahead, please. Let me unmute you. There we go. Go ahead.
Thank you. So my computer like crashed out and it got me out of the meeting. So I lost like some content to get it straight. So basically, is there any like repercussions if I can go to the meeting?
So again, here's the issue. You will not be able to get access immediately to the application if you're not at the meeting. That's how we're going to get you into the FAFSA. After the event, we will follow up with a link if possible. But yeah, it's better if you're at the meeting to be able to get in and be able to get to the FAFSA itself.
Got it. Also, I wanted to ask, you said to bring the tax form from the 2023 year to the
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And lastly, is there any problem if neither of my parents get to attend because they work to like very late times?
Again, same as we talked about before, the best advice in that situation is if you follow up with them that evening, you can do that, or you need to make sure that you can get them on the phone or somehow have them complete their section, right? If it's not the first, it can be the second or the third, but you want to make sure that it gets done quickly so that we can make sure we're testing the FAFSA. The whole point here is to be able to test the FAFSAs that you all are submitting.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you very much. Appreciate the question. I am here until we finish. I recognize it's getting close to 7. I just want to see Tron. I'm happy to keep on going if you are, but we're fine if you want to stop the recording. You're welcome to. But I will keep on answering questions as we go. If you need to run and you want to make sure that you type your question in the chat, you can do that as well. I know people are still on trying to answer your questions. So Jada, it is up to you.
Oh, hi. So I wanted to know, like, what are the deadlines for these applications that you're talking about? Because I've heard that we have to have our FSAID completed by tomorrow to be able to do it on the 1st. Is that correct?
That is correct. And remember, this is a special opportunity. For regular students who are applying for aid, that is not the appropriate deadline. They have lots of time. But for this group to get access to the FAFSA on the 1st of October, we have to get your FSAID completed and the interest form submitted by the end of the day tomorrow. The reason that's important is because the federal government needs to take that information, plug it into their systems, and get you access by the 1st. That's why they're asking you to do it today, tomorrow. So it's a great question.
And
Go ahead.
And for the thing that we're doing on October 1st, the forms, let's say we go on October 1st, but we just decide to take in the information. When will we have to complete the documents provided to us on October 1st?
Yeah, so the whole point of this is to get your records in as soon as possible because we want to be testing, right? That's the whole reason we're doing this with the federal government is to test. We are the first ones in the country to get access. The other 5 sites are going to have their events on October 2nd and October 3rd. So up until October 4th, you're fine. I would not wait any longer than October 4th. But I'm encourage you, if you're there, get it done that night. If all of your people are there. If someone has to miss it, you can take a couple of days, but don't take any longer than that because the whole point is to try to get your test application in so we can make sure it's working. And as I've said before, if you can't finish it that night, there won't be anyone to help you in case something goes wrong. So we want you to be doing it in person so that we have staff available in case something is not working.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. Thanks for being here. Leah, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm the parent of the student that's going to be applying to college, and I did already get a FSAID.
Great.
And I did not use the same exact name that is used on my tax return. I heard you saying that as soon as I got on. I have 2 last names. They are not hyphenated. It's just 2 last names, and that's how my tax returns are filed. But I never used both of those last names. So when I signed up for the FSAID, it didn't even occur to me. I just used the one last name I always use.
So did you get it? When did you sign up for the FSAID? How long ago?
Maybe like a month ago.
And I would check your email. You should have gotten an email from the Department of Education that confirmed the creation of your FSAID. If they confirmed it, then don't mess with it. If they told you there was a problem, then fix it.
Well, I just logged myself in. I was just able to log myself in with the credentials that I got, and it was no problem. And I was looking for a place to change my name, but you can't.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Nope. If they confirmed it, they would tell you if there was a problem. So if it confirmed, then you're fine.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your question.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Elizabeth, go ahead. See, Elizabeth,
Hello?
if you are, yes.
Oh, my bad. I'm on my, so I have a few questions. So like,
please.
Sure, I already forgot. Oh yeah. So like for the FSA ID, do my parents also need to make one, or like only I have to make one?
No, your parents do if they're going to be contributors. So yes, remember, as we talked about, the question is you're going to have you as a contributor, and then maybe I assume you're not married.
Well, no.
Yeah, okay. So then your parent or parents have to be your contributor unless you're independent, right?
Okay.
And we went through what is an independent person here. So yeah, you're going to need to have at least one parent, maybe both. And it depends on if they're married or separated or divorced, and if they file taxes together or not. So that's all really important. Yep, and that's what we went through tonight.
My parents are married and they filed their taxes together. Does
Then
that mean like
only one of them has to be a contributor?
Only one of them has to do it?
Yep.
So only one has to make an FSA. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. All
yeah,
right.
no.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, no problem. Okay, let's see. Next on the list is Frank. Go ahead.
Hello, hi. I'm obviously not Frank, but I just wanted to, I have several questions. I want to verify if the parents don't have a social security number, then it's still okay to go through with the FAFSA, correct?
That is correct. Yep. So you'll see as you go through, if my parents don't have an SSN, you click that box, click continue, and the rest of the steps will still be exactly the same.
Okay.
Yep.
The other question is, if the parent does not live in this country, then do they still need a FSAID?
Yes, they still will need one if the student is using them as their parent. Yes, they will still need to have an FSAID.
Okay. And then my last question is, if a student if a child lives with a relative, not their parents, all right, but the relative doesn't claim them on the tax report, but the relative is the one that takes care of that student, then how do they apply for this? Do they put the relative that they live with,
No.
or?
No, they
Okay.
would put the parent. So the question is, the fundamental question is to why. So, and again, I don't want to, because we're recording, we don't have
Yes,
to go
of
into
course.
all of this, but just to be clear, because others may have the same situation. If there's a breakdown in the family relationship and the student's not like talking to the parents anymore, parents don't have any relationship with the student, then the student's going to apply using something called provisional independence, which we'll talk about that night. If you look at my slide, this is the thing that I'm talking about when I talk about here. If you have special circumstances, we've got you covered too. That's if the parent relationship is broken, if there's something wrong. But if it's just that they live separately because mom and dad live abroad, student lives here, but they go back and forth, they see each other, they talk to each other, there's a relationship, then in that situation, they still would apply, students still would apply with parents. Those parents will just be filing from abroad. So that still can happen.
Okay, thank you.
Great questions. No, thank you. Okay, let's see. Jack, you are next. Let's see, there you go. Go ahead.
Thanks very much. Question for you is the following. When my son creates his account on studentaid.gov to get his FSA ID, does he need to do anything to link to me as his parent who is the contributor?
Nope,
or
that
is
will
the
happen.
link that happens when you do the FAFSA itself?
Exactly. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Yes, that's exactly right. So when you do the FAFSA itself, he will start his section, then he will invite you, and that's where the link will happen.
Great. So that's clear. Thank you. And then in order to complete the survey that says we're interested in the beta testing, do we actually have to have the FSA ID, or do we only have to have created the account? Because it sounds like from what you said, there's a lag time.
Yeah, good question. So technically, there is a lag time, but once you register for the FSA ID, you have the information you need. You don't need to go any farther. You don't have to wait, because it will take 1 to 3 days for the department to run your information against databases. That's too long. So don't wait. Once you go ahead and register for the FSA ID, then go ahead and do the next step, which is that survey form.
Got it. And so I think I can glean from your answer whether or not we need to actually have an FSA ID number in order to complete the survey.
Well, there is no number, so I want to be very clear. The FSA ID is the username and password you create. So when you go through the process, you're going to create a username and a password. That is your FSA ID. So what happens behind the scenes is your FSA ID is validated against a series of databases. But all that does is just say, yes, it's active. Yes, it's valid. But it's the same FSA ID. There's no different ID number you're going to get.
Got it. That wasn't clear earlier to me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Wonderful presentation. We'll see you on the 1st.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Jack. Appreciate you. Okay, let's see. Next, I've got Lydia. Go ahead, Lydia.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Just to double check, I'm divorced, but I'll provide the 60% or more for my twins. So I will be the one creating the parent ID only, right?
Correct. And are you remarried?
No.
Yep, so it's just going to be you. You'll be a single contributor, and your students will both need FSA IDs. They'll have theirs, and you'll have yours, and that's it.
Okay, when I go to the part of I create the ID, then the second part would be to fill out the interest form. Can you go to that form again? Do I have to do it twice because I have twins?
Yes, good question. So Lydia, yes, each one of them will separately have to complete the interest form. Remember, the interest form for the federal student aid is actually student driven, not parent driven. So if I go back to that form, so let's look at it again. It's a good question. If I go back to that form, the very first question that is asked is the student name and email address, right? So that's the very first section that's here. So each one of your students will have to do that form separately.
Oh, okay. So only for them, I don't have to put my name on that.
No, you will. You will. Remember, once you do your section and click, or they do their section and click next, it'll ask them, are they dependent or independent? And do they have one or two contributors? They'll have to list you to make sure that you're tied in. So they'll have to put your email address. But yes, it is separate. You have to do this process twice, once for each student.
Okay. I think that's all. I see you October 1st. Thank you.
No, my pleasure. Thank you. Samswara, your turn. You're up.
Hey, good evening, Daniel. Thank you so much for giving us so much information.
Of course.
So I have two kids, and should I use the two different emails while creating the FSAID? Oh,
for them or for you?
For them.
Yes, they have to have different email addresses.
So what about me? What about me? My email ID.
Yep, you can use the same one for both students.
Okay.
Yep. Once you register once, you can use it to sign up for your FAFSA if you wanted to go back to school. You can use it to sign both kids. It's based on you as an individual. You only need one FSA ID.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is this FSAID is useful for the Bright Futures, or does it relate to Bright Futures?
No, it's only federal. So Bright Futures is a whole separate thing from the state of Florida. Yep.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay, yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, I have one more question. I forgot.
Yeah.
So so are you saying that like we can apply for University of Miami for the CSS info or something?
Profile. CSS
right?
profile.
Right,
Yes.
profile.
Yep.
So do they give us any kind of aid for the kids or something, or?
So yes, if you have interest in Miami, what I would suggest is take a look at miami.edu/FinAid. That's our website, and there's lots of information there. And you can reach out to us. I really don't want to spend a lot of time talking about it because that's not my point this evening, but it is there if you want information about how to apply for aid and what the different kinds of aid are that we offer. It's there for you.
Gotcha. So should we come to and should we attend the October 1st meeting? Is the mandatory, or?
Yes, that's correct. If you want to be part of this early FAFSA, it is required. Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you. Jeremiah, you are up. And I just want to, I recognize there are a lot more questions. I just want to set expectations. It's about 7:15. I think, Tron, are you comfortable if we run to 7:30? Does that work for you?
I'm sorry, Daniel, can you repeat that?
Is it okay if we run to 7:30?
Well, actually, I was going to see if we can direct the remainder of these questions in the chat to our B2L Gmail.
Okay, go ahead. And why don't you provide that? And I'll take a couple more questions as we finish up.
Okay, that works. All right, so I'm going to put our Gmail in the chat. You all can direct the remainder of those questions there. And Daniel will take a few more questions from folks in the chat. Thank you so much.
Jeremiah, go ahead. I'm not hearing you. I'm going to move on, but if you get your audio back, come on back. Hirandi, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So I have two questions. So my parents currently don't have a social security, but a few days ago they were working with a lawyer a few months ago, and a few days ago they got accepted to get a work permit and a social, but they said that the social won't arrive till like next week. So for the ID, do I still put that they don't
I would say they don't have a social yet. I would just go ahead and do that. Absolutely.
Okay, and my parents just told me that they weren't able to file for the tax for 2023. So what do I do with that? Like,
So let's answer that question when we're together on October 1st. I'll be talking about what to do if you don't have a tax record.
oh, okay. Thank you.
No problem. My pleasure. Okay, Jeremiah, are you back? Do you want to try now? There you are. Hello.
Can you hear me now?
I can. It's very quiet, but go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, when you are applying for the FAFSA and you're not applying for a loan, just the scholarships or the grant, you don't have to pay that back, right?
So FAFSA gets you access to lots of different types of financial aid, loans, or some of them grants or others. So the whole application process, like what you're going to get from the college, we can talk about separately. But yeah, by filling out the FAFSA, you apply for grant assistance, scholarship assistance, loan assistance, and work assistance. But you're not obligated to take any of it. It's really your choice based on what the college can offer you.
So if I'm only applying for like a grant, I don't have to pay that back.
If you receive a grant, that does not have to be repaid. That's correct.
Okay, and another question: if your last name is longer than 16 characters, what would you put?
The first 16 characters.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Dylan. And I'm going to say Diego, who is on video, is going to be my last person we're going to be able to address the question of directly. But as you saw from before, there's an email to feel free to send your questions to as they come up. But Dylan, go ahead.
Hello. Yes. My son Dylan, we want to create the account tonight for him, but my husband is right now doing his PhD, and he has a Pell Grant through FAFSA. So my question is this gonna affect anything that Dylan can get, because my husband already has the Pell Grant?
Well, he wouldn't, if he's doing a PhD, it wouldn't be a Pell Grant. He may have other kinds of loan or other kinds of funding. Pell Grant's only for undergraduate students. But no, it should not have any impact on your husband. It's separate. So each record is separate from each other.
Okay, and because he has the account already and he is the contributor, if he has to create another account just for my son?
No, as long as he has an account already, you can use the same FSAID.
Okay, so he already, did I have to create something, or he just add me to it? Because I'm not working right now, but we do the taxes joint. We do it.
If you do the taxes jointly, as long as he will do your son's FAFSA, you're fine. You don't need to have a separate one.
Okay, and in that case, we still have to attend the meeting?
Yes.
On the 21st?
Yes.
Yeah, because he was saying me that, oh no, I already had, so we don't have to attend it.
No, tonight is about the FSAID, but on October 1, we're going to be logging into the actual FAFSA.
Okay, so we still have to go
there. Yep.
Okay, thank you so much.
Colleen, I'm not sure if you're still on, but I know that it sounds like we've hit the limit in terms of number of attendees for October 1. Any advice on what people should do? Can we raise that number? I know we were talking about potentially screening to another room. Any thoughts there?
We're going to have to figure that out. I'll talk to Dr. Cooper, and we will send up follow-on instructions for those that have not been able to get into the event, because we may have hit the cap of 1,000 already. But we will make sure you get the guidance you need in the time frame that you need it. So we'll follow up by email.
So just in case you didn't hear that, if you have not yet been able to register, don't worry. We will follow up with you about plans for alternatives if you're unable to register for the event. You still have to do the interest form. Don't forget to do the interest form, even if you're over and you can't get that Eventbrite, but you still have to do that interest form. Paula, your question, and then Diego, you will be my last question for tonight.
Oh, hi, Daniel. I think it's the same as the last person, but I wasn't clear. I couldn't hear her well. So I do have an FSA ID for myself. I have a student loan of my own. Yep. So I do not need to create a new one.
That is correct.
Just my son needs his account now.
That is correct. You do not
And
need to create a
my
second one.
loan does not affect his ability of getting some financial aid. Is that what
It
you
does.
told?
It does not. That's correct.
All right. So thank you so much and have a great night. This was awesome. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And Diego, I promised that yours would be the last one, so you are all good to go. Go ahead.
Hi, I have two questions. I already have another son that he applied. Well, he has his student aid, but actually I still receiving like emails said that I need to sign the form. So I don't know if I have to create a new student aid for this new student that is my second son.
So you would need to create an FSAID for your second son. Yes. My guess is if it's asking you to sign the form, it's asking you to sign last year's form, the 24-25 form, the year that your other son's enrolled in right now. So I would just check in and see what might be going on with that. But for the 25-26 FAFSA, your new son, your one who's graduating, needs to have an FSAID to make sure that he's able to, to get into the event and be part of the event and to complete the FAFSA. So that is really important.
So is his his ID and my ID too? I have to create both now.
Well, you said you already have one. You don't have to create a second one. If you already have one, you can use yours for you. Yep. But he will need one for him. Yes.
Okay. And my second question is, I'm married and we have taxes joined, my husband and I, but I heard someone recommended to put my husband as a contributor because he is the main in the taxes.
It doesn't matter. It'll match either way, but if it's up to you.
Okay, this is because I can attend on October 1st, but he will not go. I can do it.
Yes.
So I want to be the one that I.
Yep. As long as you file jointly, you can do that together.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to say, I'm sorry we couldn't get to every question. If you have additional questions, please do feel free to send them to Bridge to Life SFL. So it's Bridge, the number 2, Life, SFL for South Florida, at gmail.com, and we will address your questions there. I want to thank you all very much. I appreciate the opportunity. I know on behalf of Bridge to Life and on behalf of the rest of the team, we're thrilled to have had the chance to spend some time with you tonight. We're really looking forward to seeing you on the 1st. Again, this is quite an honor to be first in the country. It was a competition, you should know, when we were selected among all the folks who applied. So we're excited. We hope you're excited. We look forward to seeing you together on October 1st and having some food together and completing FAFSAs. So, who knew that was going to be the exciting thing on October 1st, but there it is. So thank you all very much. Have a great evening. Thanks for being here tonight, and we will see you soon. Take good care. Bye-bye, everyone.